Branch, thanks for joining me today. Appreciate having you on the show.
You're welcome, John, anytime.
So, Branch, you spent many, many years with the United States Secret Service. You retired as a special agent in charge of an Illinois field office, and you had the pleasure of spending time with the 41st president and the late First Lady Barbara Bush. Tell us about your personal experiences with the Bush family.
Very favorable, John. First of all, realize that was a long time ago. And I retired almost 30 years ago, which is when he left office. And my relationship with them was not as close as it was with other presidents. However, we had several trips into Illinois, which they came there and met him on several other trips. And this is when he was a vice president, of course, not the president. But just I love talking about him and one or two of the other past presidents because I admire them so much. Again, my relationship was not that close, but I was, close enough to them to have conversations here and there, small conversations and photos and so forth. And everything you've read or heard about him and her in the past, couple days, to my opinion, I'll repeat everything that was said. If you put me in a lie detector and asked me to tell you one thing that I thought was derogatory about either the two, I'll pass that test by saying I don't know of any. Again, one more time, I don't know him that well, but I have met him, I have talked to him, talked to a lot of the agents who are my friends who were, in fact, on his and her detail, and just, fantastic people.
When you and I spoke yesterday, we had a quick phone call. In full disclosure, you and I know each other for several years. You had echoed the sentiments of almost every other law enforcement and military person I spoke to that had come in contact with the Bush family. It was almost as if you had all compared notes, and it was overwhelmingly positive. So you worked on President Reagan's detail in 1980. You, as you say, crossed paths with President Bush many times when he was vice president. Tell me anecdotally some of the things other agents have told you about President Bush, 41, First Lady Barbara Bush.
This might describe both of them, in my opinion. Most politicians, there are two personalities. One's a politician and one's on the personal side. And my opinion is neither of those two had two personalities. They were the same, just nice to people, very polite, excellent family, in my opinion, in terms of their interpersonal skills, the way they treated people. Vice President Bush and Mrs. Bush, when they had trips, after the trip, they would, as many of the people we protected did as well, would line them up at the aircraft before they departed, shake hands with them, talk to them, and have their picture taken. Just like I say, I wish I was related to him, and I had the same personality.
Let me ask you, Branch, do you think it had to do with the fact that the late President Bush was a war hero? He was shot down in World War II, almost lost his life. Do you think he had a deeper appreciation of what you and the other agents did day in and day out for his family, the risk you put yourselves, the risk at which you put yourselves?
Yeah, I think that's part of it, John. And the other part is, I think from the time he was young, from what I've heard, he was raised in a house of a home of wealth. He didn't let it go to his head. The fact that he was military is one thing that I especially appreciate. Many of the other agents do. I was as well. And I just think going into the military in any capacity, and he enlisted out of high school when he was going to go to Yale instead, but he did it out of a dedication to the country and to what he thought were his personal goals. So yeah, I think that's part of it, his experience in World War II, the way he was raised and the way he was treated from the time he was born until he became the president. It's a combination of all those things. Most people, they get their education through their peers, through the schools, and through the family. That's where he got all of his, I believe, and they're all very, very favorable.
Let me ask you, Branch, because you work very closely with President Reagan, and Secret Service agents also often get those glimpses behind the scenes that not only the American public doesn't, but that other politicians don't. What was the relationship like behind closed doors between President Reagan and his then Vice President, George H.W. Bush?
fantastic. Obviously, I don't know the details of it, but based on the knowledge I have of them, it was a great relationship. Controversies here and there, which are certainly necessary in any situation between the president and the vice president, but nothing of a serious nature to my knowledge. They were close outside of their political relationship. I believe they were friends. And I don't know if you're going to ask me this or not, John, but comparing him with, I was much closer to Reagan. I was with him for 9 months when he was campaigning before the first time he won the election. And he didn't have all the people surrounding him at that time. But he and Reagan, just the interpersonal skills they had, the way they treated people, the way he talked to you. I keep telling friends of mine, if George Bush, either of the Bushes for that matter, or Reagan walked into a room right now, where, of course, if they did, we'll be in trouble. But if they're alive and walked into a room where we're having dinner or a conversation and sat down, I think you'd be talking to them within a few minutes as if they've been close friends all your life. I can go on and on with my complimentary comments about them, but I think, John, they were just fantastic people. And what you saw and his political life, I think, transferred to his personal life. Again, the way he treated people, the way he spoke, and just good people.
Tell us a little bit about the Secret Service branch. We talk about presidents. We obviously have President Bush lying in state now in the Capitol Rotunda. The public is coming into that building. Dignitaries were there last night, members of Congress. The President and First Lady made an unexpected visit. How has the role of the Secret Service changed over the years from when you guarded then candidate and ultimately President Reagan in 1980 until today?
I don't know all the details about how they operate now, but of course their operational techniques and their training and so forth has changed dramatically. Number one, I think the personnel is total agents and uniform division officers probably at least doubled what they were when I was there. The security provided the vice president now was more than we provided the president when I was on the Nixon detail. The equipment they have, the people they're getting. I still have some association with the current people in the Secret Service, John, and the quality of people they're getting is just unbelievable. I think back and say, if I were in my 20s now and applied for a job, I wonder if I would make it, if I would meet the standards they have now. The downside is they are traveling their butts off now. They have many more people on the presidential details and the vice president out of necessity. The threat in this country, in this world, situation being what it is, it demands more protective operations, and they are traveling and traveling. And of course, Secret Service has criminal investigative responsibilities as well. So when they're not providing protection, they're working criminal investigations in the field, and they're putting in unbelievable hours. And the turnover is a little bit higher than what it used to be, but it's still a great organization.
Branch Walton, retired United States Secret Service, Special Agent in Charge. Branch, always great to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more breaking news coverage, exclusive interviews, and great videos, click over here to our YouTube channel and subscribe. And don't forget to download the free Newsmax TV app. Newsmax TV, it's real news for real people.